Let's look at this last function. F of x is equal to tangent x if x is lying between 0 to pi by 2. F of x is 0 if x is equal to pi by 2. F of x is secant x if x is lying between pi by 2 to pi. Now this is called a piecewise defined function. Piecewise defined function means the function is defined differently on different segments. So from 0 to pi by 2, the function is defined by tangent x, and from pi by 2 to pi, the function is defined as secant x. That is the thing. So I'm going to draw a table of values from 0 to pi by 2, right? So from 0 to pi by 2, and 0, the function is value would be tangent x, because between that interval function is defined to be tangent x. So at 0, the function value is 0. Let's say we have pi by 6. At pi by 6, function's value is 1 by root 3. Tangent pi by 6 is 1 by root 3. I think that's approximately 0.58. At pi by 4, the function's value is 1. At pi by 2, there is a vertical asymptote. So at pi by 2, the function has a vertical asymptote. So the function is not defined, right? So how do we define the curve? There is one point at 0. Then at pi by 4, it's 1. At pi by 6, somewhere it is 0.58. So my curve would be just this branch, and it will go. So that is just this small branch of tangent x, and I know that is going to infinity on this side. At pi by 2, though, the function is defined as 0. So there is this one solid point. You cannot forget it, right? There is one solid point at pi by 2. The function is defined to be 0. That is defined separately. Now, after pi by 2, the function is, if x is more than pi by 2 to pi, the function is defined as secant x, right? What are secant x? Secant x is the reciprocal of cos x. So at pi by 2, the function is clearly not defined. So again, we have a asymptote at pi by 2. What other value we can take after pi by 2? So let's say 3 pi by 4. At 3 pi by 4, cos function is 1 by root 2 with a negative sign. So secant function would be negative 1 root 2. So that will be negative 1.414 approximately. So here it will be this. At pi, cos function is negative 1. So secant function would be negative 1, 2. So this is the point. At pi by 2, the function is not defined. And what about at pi by 6? No, not pi by 6. We don't have pi by 6. What comes after pi by 2? Let's say 2 pi by 3. At 2 pi by 3, the function is defined as, at 2 pi by 3, cos is negative half. So this will be negative 2. So at 2 pi by 3, the function's value will be somewhere here. Now, as x approaches to pi by 2, secant function approaches to negative infinity. So this is the asymptote that we know. So we can join these points, and we have the curve to be somewhere like this. The curve stops right here. This is the solid point, right? So solid point meaning there is this point, there is this point, this is the curve. It goes to infinity. There is a asymptote around at pi by 2, but at pi by 2 function is defined as 0, and on the left side of pi by 2 there is this branch of tangent x. So the graph is only defined from 0 to pi, in between those 2 points, right? So this is a solid point because at 0 the function is defined. On this side just draw an arrow, and on this side just draw an arrow. And make sure, if you miss this one solid point at pi by 2, then you lose the score, because the function is defined at pi by 2 to be 0.